Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be part 2 of my first video that I did about 2 weeks ago. I will list that video in the description box down below on my mental health journey throughout my life, and this is going to be part 2. So if you are interested in watching and hearing my story, I guess, so to speak, just keep watching. So I believe in my last video I left off when I moved to a new city in Florida, and I was put into a school that I knew nobody. And bear with me during this. I'm going to have a cup of coffee because Mama is a little under the weather. So I apologize if I'm sniffling and I might cough throughout this video. I apologize, truly. I've just been sick and yeah. So I'm gonna take a little sip.
In the throat.
I was put into a school where I knew nobody, and being the new girl in school, I didn't have friends. Being somebody that's new, you know, you kind of have a tendency to take what you can get in the friends department, if you will. I was friends with people that did not have a good reputation. I gained a reputation because I hung out with them, and I was bullied extremely bad. I hated school. I would make up excuses not to have to go to school. I would skip school if I could. I just pitched a fit every morning that I had to go to school because I knew that either I was going to be in trouble because I was standing up for myself, or it was too much for me to handle because literally it was day in and day out. I was so not happy with the situation that I got extremely depressed. So my mom put me into one of the school counselor's offices. There was an instance where I was in a really bad headspace, and I was vocal about it because she called me on my shit and, said, have you hurt yourself? Have you had suicidal thoughts? Whatever the case may be. And I was honest because I thought it was a safe space. The woman literally walks out of the office, and if you are in school, there's school resource officers that are in school that, keep the joint safe. Basically, maybe a half hour later, I was put in handcuffs.
Great reputation I got after that.
I was put in handcuffs, took out of the school, put in the back of a police car, told that I was being Baker acted because it was for my safety. So I was taken to a psychiatric hospital. I was having a panic attack. I have never been in trouble before or since then. We get to the place. If you are really interested in me getting to that topic, I have no problem making a whole video about my experience in there, but long story short, a girl was in there for 2 weeks. And I still to this day, and it's been a while, I have nightmares about it. Basically, long story short, another reason I was bullied was because I was put on medication I didn't need to be on. And one of these side effects, I believe, of Seroquel, my weight blew up. So I was gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. I had this hoodie that I wore, I think, every day of school. It got to the point, I never wanted to take it off. And so kids are mean. So basically, people would start these rumors, she's gaining weight, she must be pregnant, blah, 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 blah. It made my, already, bad self-image issues, just totally be demolished. I was so angry with people that I just would clap back, and then I was in in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension. Nobody ever got to know me, and, I had, and still to this day, I have this kind of problem where I have, kind of the resting bitch face, where people automatically assume, I'm this mean, cocky, whatever the case may be, and that's so not the situation. If you got to know me really well, I'm not like that. I think when I was 17, I was at a party. I remember going outside or smoking a cigarette or something, because back then I would casually smoke. I remember turning around and somebody screamed out hey, she's jumping in the shower or something, and I kind of heard that from a distance, and I locked the door to the bathroom. 4 minutes later, after being in the shower, the door is jimmied open or something, and my head gets bashed into the shower. So I had a crack in my head, and don't remember anything except for the morning after waking up, and I was covered in bruises in my inner thighs, and there was blood. And so basically I was raped. That was the first occurrence. I had a bunch of, bad relationships, probably from like 17, 18, 19, 20. Met a dude, bad situation. That's a topic of conversation in and of itself. This guy was literally, if he wasn't a psychopath, he was a sociopath. He held me at gunpoint. He put a machete to my neck. Told me I wasn't allowed to eat when we went out to dinner. He's like, oh, I'm gonna pick you up. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And picked me up, threw me over his shoulder, body slammed me on the tile floor. Like, I don't know what person in their right mind thinks that that's okay to do to somebody. You're like actually trying to physically harm somebody. Like, that's not okay. And why I stayed in this relationship, like, I think the gun point to my head and the whole machete thing threw me for a loop, so I was literally terrified. He would call me fat. I remember one time I spent over his house. The next morning I woke up. He literally had colored my arms, legs, anywhere that had even an inch of fat, like draw on me with a permanent marker and say like, this needs to go, this needs to go, this needs to go. The self-harm thing like went into full-blown effect. I mean, I think at one point I had like from here all over my arms, I had sliced myself up because I was just like, I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. I didn't go to my mom because I knew she would have flipped out. He had totally cut me off from any friends that I did have. So it was basically like he was controlling everything that I was doing. And so instead of me like saying, hey, I'm gonna have a voice, I'm gonna go to the cops, I'm gonna tell my mom, whoever else was around, like my grandfather, I think at the time I could have told probably. It probably wouldn't have been good for his health because he would have got worked up. But I internalized it and therefore took it out on myself. I didn't eat, I was down to like 94 pounds at one point. I mean, my eating disorder was like through the roof. I don't know what like transpired, but like he finally like found some other victim to, abuse. But still when I go home, like I have extremely bad anxiety. So I have so many issues because of all these things. Like once you've had a gun to put to your head and you've been raped or anything, like you are totally forever changed. I have taken many trips to a psychiatrist's office and it hasn't really done me much good up until recently. This last August last year, a situation happened where I was basically verbally attacked by family members. Basically said, my grandmother wasn't doing well, and it was just like a sneak attack of, we're just gonna say all these bad things about you and we're just gonna think we're gonna be this big happy family after the fact. Well, that's not the case. And literally nobody knows except my husband what transpired after that. And I had gone maybe like 6 months without a self-harming episode, but like I was already not in a good headspace before that all went off, because I deal with pain from being in a car accident and it already, hinders my ability to do a lot of things. So it can sometimes be, mentally very taxing. Just some of the things that were said, I don't dare throw anybody under the bus because I have to deal with these people. So I'm not going to name names. I basically lost my voice because I screamed so much to defend myself. I came home and I was like, I just don't want to live anymore. And it took my husband a couple days to process everything that was going on. And I need to distance myself from people because toxic people are not good for people who have any sort of mental health problems. And if they are causing you harm, then you maybe need to reevaluate your circumstances. And sometimes you have to make difficult decisions of whether or not you want to actually put yourself in situations that probably aren't going to be the best, because at the end of the day, 90% of the time, people do not apologize. They don't take ownership for what they have done, and don't really know the consequences of their actions, because most people really don't show you that, but they did a lot of damage from that instance. And so I took it upon myself that I was like, well, one of two things is going to happen. One, I'm just going to go. And that wasn't an option because my husband's like, I don't want to lose you. And, obviously my mother. I had to take initiative to find a therapist. I didn't want to do it because I've had so many, issues with therapists not listening or, wanting to give you this medication, that medication. I'm a work in progress, that's for sure. You can't break some of these bad coping mechanisms, and I know that that's not the answer to self-harm, but I think a lot of the misconception from self-harm is people who do self-harm, whether, there's so many different ways of self-harm. It's not just like, hey, somebody slits their wrist or whatever the case may be. Like, it's such a misunderstood topic, and maybe people need to be more educated on it, because for me, it's always been a way of releasing so much internal stuff. And instead of vocalizing it, I've gone to that, because that's been something I've coped with since I was like 7 years old. Hard habit to break once you start it. I have learned that I need to tell people something when something's bothering me, and not to just let it build up and build up and build up. Therapy has helped somewhat. I've been diagnosed with PTSD and, an eating disorder, depression, and anxiety. All those things combined, it's going to take time to, years of not dealing with most of this stuff and not talking about it. The best thing that you can do for yourself is to just go talk to somebody. And if the first therapist doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. Just keep trying. It's not something that you're gonna feel like cured from in one appointment. And, if you have to take medication, it's okay. Don't feel ashamed that you have to be on a pill. I, for myself, don't want to, because I've had so many bad experiences with medication. Earlier last year, I was on about like 3 different trials of medications, and every side effect that it had, for whatever reason, my body's like, no ma'am, we are not doing this medicine. When I started taking the medicine that I was given to at the psychiatric hospital, I got addicted to like the sleeping side effect of the Seroquel. So ever since then, I have had a horrible time being able to sleep naturally, where it's almost non-existent. So I always have to take something at night to kind of like make me tired. Especially now that I deal with chronic pain, it's hard to get comfortable at night. So I need like something to make me go to sleep. There's a lot of ways that I kind of, over the last like year and a half, so to speak, I have found like some relaxation techniques. There's a thing out there called ASMR. ASMR, I will link all the information about that. I don't want to get into too much of it, because it's kind of a weird thing to describe. The calmingness of ASMR is very like, I get triggered by like crinkle noises or people whispering in just like a soft voice, like kind of like hand and light movements. It's a thing, I promise. If you're on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about. So I will leave a few channels that I personally watch on a regular basis that aren't in the weird realm of ASMR. There's some channels out there, love them to death, but some of them are like a bit too much for me and a little weird. The ones that I do watch typically aren't like that. So I will link those below, as well as information about ASMR. So if you have anxiety or you have trouble calming down at night, those are things I would definitely recommend, as well as I use a lot of essential oils at night in my diffuser. I am going to update you guys probably about how I'm doing. Every day is kind of a struggle, so if there's certain things that you guys want me to go more in depth about, I have no problem doing that and making a video on it. But I just kind of wanted to give you guys just kind of a run through of, things that I've gone through in my struggles and stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you would like to subscribe, you can hit that button. And if you are subscribed and you want to be notified, there is a little bell that you can click, and that way you will not miss any new videos that I put up. And you can follow me on Instagram, where I post pretty much like almost consistently. I'm trying to get better about it. But you can follow more of my life stuff there. And sometimes I post on Twitter, but not too much. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.